So the other example I have that I'll run you through here is with AIA, which I'm sure most people have heard of AIA. And they came to us and were talking to us about they wanted to reduce their billing costs. So when they bill their members, how could they reduce their printing costs and their postage costs? And is there some way to do that online? And one of the things that they told us, they had, I think I want to say about 82,000 members, of which 7,000 of those they didn't have email addresses for. So obviously it couldn't be on, all of it couldn't be online, but some of it could be. So they were going to go for some fractional reduction of their printing in that. So we created a form, and we were doing their billing already. And so they would supply a database, and there's a lot of conditional logic in their invoices. So we would run this through our variable data group, where we have programmers that do this. And based on what's in the database, there's a lot of calculations that are going into all these different numbers based on each individual member. So, and the conditional logic in that part of it is very similar to what you'd see on an Amazon.com. You know, like if you go and you buy a book, my wife uses my account and she buys poetry books. And whenever I go log into Amazon, it always recommends more poetry books to me. So that same logic, if you like this book than that, then if you have so many members in your architectural firm, here's your due structure, and if you signed up for these services. So all that's being calculated. But what we did was we added, and you can see it, we highlighted in yellow, a Pearl as well. So with this, when this invoice went out for this, and I think this was probably done 2 or 3 years ago the first time, but when this went out, when they got their billing for this year, we put a letter in there that said we're introducing the ability to pay online if you want to, and move, if you want to in the future pay online, then we won't send you invoices. And it has the Pearl information in the letter, and then it had it here also on the invoice. So they could basically take this printed invoice and mail it back, but if they wanted to pay online, then they could do that. And this is sort of the intro to the Pearl site right here, and they would come in, and it was secure, so the Pearl, everyone had a secure Pearl, which is HTTPS, and let me back up. Pearls are personal URLs, and I think most people probably know that, but so each member, there were 82,000 basic websites, each one unique to that person. And so they log in, and this would be their member ID or their email address, and then their password, which I think was usually their member number for the association. And once they get in, it would say, welcome William, or whoever. And they had 2 options. One, if they wanted to, they could just print their invoice, print it to the printer, you know, sign it, hand it to the accounting office, and have them pay it. But it would save us having to mail it if they wanted to sign up for that down the line. And the other way was actually to pay online. And for this, and this is where it gets a little bit more interesting, we wrote a web service that when they paid it, we take their credit card information, but it would also allow them to upsell. So if Jim went to pay in his membership, but he wanted to sign up for some additional service, he could do it at that point, and then that additional money would be added on. So it gave them the opportunity to actually upsell once they had the customer in. So the other thing that we did that was kind of fun is we wrote, and this was, I think in one of the presentations they were talking about dashboards, but we wrote a little dashboard for them so they could see, it looks like they mailed 81,000, and of that they actually had 20,000 visits. And of the people that visited, obviously some of them were just curious, but 5,000 of them opened up the invoices and viewed them, but they had 10,000 that actually paid online. So those are people, if they signed up for that program, they won't have to mail to them. So what they were able to do was reduce their printing and mailing costs, and in some cases upsell. And this is going to be an ongoing program. So every year, in some ways, it's a little bit like eating your young. You know, we're going to mail fewer and fewer, but we're having to do this in our business because if we don't do this, somebody else will. And this is what you're going to see. So.